Hello, my dear friends, my dear students. I'm your teacher Andrei. I'm back, and we continue our Python lessons. Today we are going to discuss quite important topic, input-output, because it's hard to create a meaningful application without input-output. Of course, you want to give your user an opportunity to do some input and you want to show to the user some results. So we are going to discuss quite simple Python functions, print and input. And what you see right now is a very simple demo. It's a program. As you see, line 1 is just a comment. Line 2, variable declaration. So I put 28 into user's age variable, and then I demonstrate how to use a print function. So print, it's a library function. Python has a huge library, lots of useful functions created for you. And what it does, it prints on the console a series of expressions. So you can print one number, you can print one expression, you can put many. It depends, and you separate them by comma. So for instance, in this particular program, I'm printing message, dear user, you lived. Then I show him how many years. Then I show the user how many months he lived so far. And finally, I show him how many days he lived so far. Because my print function or print statement can be long, you may use slash to split long line into shorter lines. So let's see how it's working. I'm pressing Control F5. Sorry, no, F5. If you want to test your program, you have to press just F5 shortcut. And you see, dear user, you lived 28 years, 336 months, and 122,640 days. So that's how it's working. It's a very straightforward function, easy to use. So if you want to define print format, it's just a series of expressions. So you can print 1, 2, as many as you want. And remember that variable or literal is also expression. It's the simplest expression, variable or literal. Now, there are a few, maybe a couple, useful parameters you can use when you call print function or print statement. For example, sometimes you don't want your print to go to the next line in a console. So sometimes you want to stay on the same line and print something else. In this situation, you can use end parameter. And if you provide end as an empty string, that means your print won't go to the next line. It will stay on the current line. Sometimes it is useful. Also, a second parameter you should know about is sep parameter or separator, because by default, all the items you print separated with the space character. Sometimes you want to change this default behavior. You don't want to separate, let's say, by one space. You want to separate by many spaces, or you don't need spaces between your items. Then provide sep. Sep parameter is sometimes useful if you want to avoid Python engine automatically adding those space characters between your items. So that's basically all I wanted to say about print. So print can print a series of expressions. Expressions may be different, may have different types. They can be numeric expressions, they can be Boolean expressions, they can be strings, because any expression has a type, but when they print it, they convert it to string, and that's technically speaking all about print. By the way, let's try to print a Boolean expression. Let's see what happens if I print something like Boolean expression F5. Yes, you see, Boolean expression converted to true keyword or a false keyword. Now, if I need some input, if I need to give the user an opportunity to type, there is another useful Python function. It's called input. So let me show you a short demo of the input. So here is one more program, and it shows us how to organize console input. First line is a command, second line is a prompt, because it's nice to tell the user what you expect. So your name, it's a prompt. Line 3, that's how you use library function input. So if you use print by itself, input is used in assignment statement. So whatever is taken from the keyboard is saved in a variable on your left. So remember, print can work by itself, but input always working in assignment. And what happens, by the way, in line 3, your program stops, it's waiting for the input, then user types whatever he's supposed to type, and then it is saved in the name variable as a text, as a string. If you need numeric input, you have to cast or convert a string into integer. And you see that in my line 5 prompt, I'm asking for the age, and in line 6 int, casting is to convert text or string input into integer variable. So let's try it. I'm pressing F5 key. I save my changes and I type my name. And let's imagine I'm just finished high school. Fantastic age. Let's imagine I'm 18 years old. Never hurts to dream. And you see it's printed. So my age is printed. And you may ask, by the way, about line 6, you may ask, well, Andre, if your input not numeric, if it's not correct number, what's gonna happen? You will have so-called exception. So exception is special situation when your program just stops working. It shows you a message, and in order to avoid such let's say drastic circumstances, so basically your program going to crash, you have to check input before you cast. There are library functions in Python to check if, let's say, your input is digital, or you can do it yourself. So I don't want to right now get into exceptions handling. It's rather advanced topic. We will discuss it later. I can show you just a small example without discussing the details on exception handling because it's later on. So we are going to talk about exceptions later on. So technically speaking, this program asking user to type a number. Then if the input was bad, it is showing a message, bad number, and goes back to line number 2. So this is a loop and try statement. Again, I don't want to discuss right now the logic, but technically speaking, you can catch exceptions, you can process them, you can print certain meaningful messages to the users, and you can enforce user to type good numbers. But again, we will talk about loops and about try statement later on. So that's basically all I wanted to cover today. So we talked about print function. It's a Python library function, very useful for console applications. And we talked about input function, also very useful if you want to accept some keyboard input from the user. Thank you very much. Watch my next lessons. Python course going to have, I think, around 20 lessons, like mobile development, like PHP development. So continue your study with the next lessons, and all the best to you.